Hello again and welcome back to the channel. This is Michael at TOEFLresources.com. In today's video, I'm going to reveal what I think is the biggest secret about the TOEFL speaking section. This is increasingly seen as the key by TOEFL experts to get a high score. And some experts might charge you like $500 to learn these secrets. I'm going to start telling them for free. So take a look at the screen here. This represents a perfect TOEFL speaking answer. It's 46 seconds. Why don't I play it for you right now? Take a listen. I agree with the idea of giving children homework on a daily basis. I feel this way for two reasons. First of all, I think that it will help children to retain what they learn for a much longer period of time. The only real way for kids to absorb a lesson is to actually go home and repeat it as many times as they possibly can. And in the long run, this kind of thing will lead to a lot more academic success. Secondly, I believe that homework can actually give children an opportunity to bond with their parents. For instance, I got a lot of daily homework when I was in elementary school. In the evenings, I'd go home and I would complete it with my mom and dad, and I'd ask them difficult questions whenever I was having trouble. Eventually, we became really close and bonded. Okay, so that answer would probably get a perfect score on the TOEFL test. How do I know that? Well, I've graded it using SpeechRater. Now, SpeechRater is the AI which ETS uses in part to calculate your actual TOEFL score. And the great news is that if you check out this site, myspeakingscore.com, you can actually upload your responses and get SpeechRater reports. Costs a little bit of money, but it's an amazing tool. And actually, I'll put a link to it down in the comments below. Now, when you get your score on test day, you don't get a detailed report. You just get one number that represents the entire section. But behind the scenes, each of your answers is scored individually, and it's scored based on a whole bunch of different metrics, a whole lot of different things. What are those things? Well, now, thanks to my speaking score, we know what those things are. Let's take a look. First of all, you're graded based on your speaking rate, which is how fast you speak. I noticed I scored 99 out of 100, which is the best possible speaking rate. So I'm fast. That's actually the 99th percentile, so I'm near the top. You're also judged based on your sustained speech, which is how smoothly you speak, without like disfluencies, which is or ah or other kind of bad pauses like that. We'll go through them quickly. You're judged based on your pause frequency, which is how often you pause in your answer. Repetitions, which includes things like reformulations and corrections. Phrase length, which is how long the phrases in your answers are. That's kind of technical. I'm not sure exactly what it means, but there you go. You're judged based on the distribution of your pauses. So not only how many pauses you have, but are they in the right place or the wrong place? And then you're also judged based on your delivery, which is your pronunciation. You're judged based on your rhythm, which is syllable stress, and your vowels, which is how closely you pronounce vowels to the native way. I scored a little bit lower than that. That's probably because I'm a Canadian. And then you're judged on a few other things. Your vocabulary depth, which is how often you use uncommon words in your response. Your vocabulary diversity, which is the way that you're using different adjectives and adverbs, different types of words. So it's not how rare the words are, but the various types. Grammatical accuracy, which is a judge of your grammar. And discourse coherence, which is how well your ideas are kind of linked together. I think that is based on things like your use of transitional phrases that all your teachers mention as a result, in consequence. But I also think it's based on conjunctions, which are used in English to link ideas together. Okay, so you've got all of those different categories. This is how you're being graded on test day, like for real. Now, your question is probably like, okay, so that's a ton of things, right? What is the thing which affects my score the most? What should I concentrate on the most? What am I doing wrong? Which of these things is really hurting me? Well, you could sign up at My Speaking Score and submit your recordings and get these reports. That's the best way. But here's the secret. I'm going to tell you the secret that the TOEFL experts are all talking about. The secret is speaking right. Speaking right. That seems to be the one that will help your score. You want to get a higher score, you should speak more quickly. You should have more total words in your answer. Speaking right, speaking right, speaking right. You want to get a higher score, increase your speaking rate. Let's kind of prove it. I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at another response. This is another one by me. Let's look at the report. In this one, I got 24. So, if I'm trying to get that magical 26 in speaking and I only get a 24, I'm going to be heartbroken. Let's listen to my response. Tell me in the comments what you think of this response, because I think this response is pretty good. And yet it's only a 24, which is not great. I agree with the idea of giving children homework on a daily basis. I feel this way for two main reasons. First of all, I think that it will help children to retain what they learn for a much longer period of time. The only real way for kids to absorb a lesson is to actually go home and repeat it as much as they possibly can. In the long run, this kind of thing will lead to a lot more academic success. Secondly, I believe that homework can actually give children an opportunity to bond with their parents. Okay, so that's a 24-point response. And you can probably see what the difference is. It's slow. I mean, my pronunciation is pretty good, I think. And, I have an idea and I've supported it and I've used, the same kind of ideas as last time. It sounds like a native speaker pretty much. And yet, it's just a 24. Let's look at the response. It's all about speaking rate here. My speaking rate is 63 out of 100. And so it's low. And then my score is also low. And then you'll notice that it has like a cascading impact on everything else in the report. So my sustained speech goes down to 71. Because of that slowness, I've got these pauses in between my words. I mean, that's what slowness is usually caused by, right? You've got these long pauses in between words and in between sentences while you think of what to say next. And so like my pause frequency score is a 61. My phrase length score is 59, and the distribution of pauses is 86. So as soon as I slow down, it has a cascading impact on all of these other fluency markers. And look, even though my pronunciation is still pretty good, I got a 99 for rhythm and 70 for vowels, well, I'm still not getting that magical 26 that I want. My grammatical accuracy is still good. It's at 97, but I'm still not getting the score I want. My vocabulary diversity is pretty good, but I'm still not getting the score I want. My vocabulary depth is not great. Because my answer is shorter, because my answer has fewer words overall, because I'm slow, my vocabulary, it does kind of go down. So I just want to emphasize that even though this is kind of delivered by a native speaker and it kind of does, all those things that the YouTube videos tell you to do, the score is still not very good. And it's all coming from speaking rate. So let's back it up a little bit. Let's try one more time. Let's see something else. Let's look at a Let's look at an integrated response. So you can see that this one is a good response. This one got a 30. I'm so good. Let's listen to it quickly. According to the reading, convergent evolution is when animals living far apart from each other evolve the same features or characteristics. The professor elaborates on this. First, he explains why antelope and pronghorns look very similar. He says that their habitats are distant from each other, but both are flat grasslands with few trees. They need to be able to notice predators quickly and escape from them. As a result, both of these species have evolved legs and lungs which help them run really quickly, and huge eyes that improve their vision. Next, he explains that bats and dolphins share a unique feature. He mentions that bats live in dark caves and hunt at night, and that dolphins, on the other hand, live in the ocean, which is also extremely dark. To survive without being able to see quite well, both of these species have evolved to use a technique called echolocation, which helps them to spot objects in their surrounding environment despite the extreme darkness. Okay, so that's a 30-point response, right? My speaking rate is 99, and that's the secret for me. And then everything depends on that speaking rate, you know. Whether my pauses are good is really dependent on my speaking rate. If I'm speaking quickly, then there's not a lot of pauses. So that score goes up as well. It all really just depends on speaking rate. And you may not believe me because this is kind of a new theory in TOEFL prep, but you know, as you experiment with your own sample answers, you'll start to believe this as well, I think. My pronunciation is very good. My vowels are consistently kind of low. I think it's funny. Maybe they trained this on American accents, and my funny Canadian accent results in a lower vowel score. My vocabulary scores are very high because I just have a ton of words, and that's the thing. Like, you might be like really striving to use rare, uncommon, unique words in your response, but I don't even think that's the best approach. I think the best approach is to just have a lot of words, and that achieves depth and that achieves diversity just by like the bulk approach. My grammatical accuracy is kind of low. The AI is not great at judging grammar, I think, and it doesn't seem to affect the score very much. Despite the fact that my grammar is low, the score is still 30. And the same for discourse coherence. It's not great at judging the discourse coherence. So, you know, even though the score is somewhat low, the overall score is still perfect. Now, let's back it up and we'll check out the same kind of response, but with a lower score. Now, this one is heartbreaking. Like, I'm just putting my shoes in the myself in the shoes of a of like somebody trying to get that magical 26, and it comes out as 25. I mean, that's the story of so many people's preparation, isn't it? They keep getting 25 out of 26, and they don't know why. Well, I think the reason is closely related to speaking rate. Let's just listen. According to the reading, convergent evolution is when animals living far apart from each other evolve the same features or characteristics. First, the professor says antelope and pronghorns look similar. Since they both live in flat grasslands with few trees, they need to be able to escape from predators quickly. As a result, they've evolved legs and lungs for running quickly and huge eyes for good vision. Next, bats and dolphins both live in dark environments. To be able to see well in these environments, both have evolved to use echolocation to spot environments even in total darkness. Okay, so That's a 25, but it's still pretty good, right? I mean, my accent is great. I sound like a native speaker, I guess. And I've still got a good structure. I summarize the reading and then I summarize the lecture, and I've got most of the details there. It's not quite as detailed as the perfect response, but they're all still pretty much there. And yet I'm getting 25. Look at my speaking rate. It's 15 out of 100. That means that 85% of the people who take the test speak more quickly than I did. And all those other fluency markers, it's just a cascading impact on them. My sustained speech is considered poor. You know, all those kind of pauses I put between words, those are considered like disfluencies. And so they reduce my score. My pause frequency score is 46 out of 100. Again, it's quite bad because I've got too many pauses. The phrase length is low and the distribution of pauses is low. That's all because of my slow pace. I speak slowly, everything is impacted. But hey, my pronunciation is great. 99, 76. And yet, even with that great pronunciation, I'm only getting 25 points. My vocabulary depth is pretty good, you know. I used some good words there. I got a great score. My vocabulary diversity is low, right? Because I have fewer words overall, my diversity score is low, and that's affecting my overall result. Grammar is bad again, and discourse coherence is bad again. So what I'm trying to emphasize here is that if you want to get that magical 26, try speaking more quickly. Again, don't take my word for it. Just make an account on myspeakingscore.com and try it out for yourself. Perhaps an experiment would be to record an answer, upload it, look at your score, and then redo it a bunch of times. Don't upload it every time, but just redo it a bunch of times. And then after a bunch of times, when you've managed to speak a lot more quickly, upload it again and see what the result is. You may be surprised. Now, of course, for these integrated questions, you do need to have correct details, right? You can't just speak quickly and get a high score if all the details are wrong. So that matters, of course, your comprehension. But I find for a lot of students stuck at the 25 level, their listening skills and reading skills are good. They have all the right details. But what they are not doing is speaking more quickly. All right, so I am going to leave it at that. But down below in the comments, I will post links, I think, to all of these speaking reports. So you can just kind of check them out for yourself. And you can even download the audio files and play around with them yourself. And I'll post a link to my speaking score itself as well in the comments or in the video description. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. But if you have any questions about this, please leave them. I'll answer them as soon as I can. And stay tuned for more videos. I'm kind of obsessed with these speech rater reports, so I think I'm going to upload a few more in the days and weeks ahead. Take care till then. Bye-bye.